You must be either mad or insane to seek out this godforsaken place. But since you're here, I guess I can show you the nest of horrors. Don't fall in.
I am approaching your location at a steady pace, and the Nest of Horrors has awoken. Today's tale is a part of the Nest of Horrors lore, and it follows Craig as he asks, "Does your shadow bleed?" Narrated by, let's see, EurasianRob. I don't know who that might be, but he sure sounds handsome. They are watching. I can't tell you how I know this right now. I can't see them, but I know they are watching. They always are. You need to understand that I have seen them before. I really have. But they don't like that. They don't like to be looked at. It angers them. I'm realizing I should probably explain to you what I'm talking about. After all, I don't know if this ever happened to anyone else. What if I'm the first? Although, I don't think that's important right now. What is important is how this started. I think it was a weekend. Wait, no, that's not... There was this one time before the weekend. I didn't think much of it then, but now that I think back, it must have been relevant. It was a Wednesday, and wait, maybe it was Thursday instead. Anyway, I don't think that matters now. The key point is that the day started like any other workday. I got up at 7 a.m. when my alarm went off. I slid my slippers on, I went to the bathroom, I made myself a coffee. I got dressed, and then I sat on the couch and watched some TV as I enjoyed my caffeinated beverage. I do this every morning without fail. It just feels almost ritualistic at times, but I enjoy when things are in order, predictable, when things just make sense. When the clock hits 8 a.m., I get in my car to go to work, as I always do, and that morning was no different. Thursday! It was Thursday. I remember now. Although, I once again realized that this isn't... Anyway, I left for work. It's usually about a half-hour drive. I start work at 9, but I like to be in early. Gives me a while to get things sorted before the day starts. I like it that way. So, I got in as usual, parked in spot number 10, pulled the handbrake, turned the car off, grabbed my bag, patted my pockets to make sure I hadn't forgotten anything, and locked the car. As I walked into the office, our receptionist welcomed me as she usually... I just realized that today is also Thursday. That feels ironic, or poetic in some way. Or it could be neither. It's just funny how we live our lives in this 7-day system. Why 7? Why not a more convenient number, like 5 or a 10? I'm off track again. As I was saying, she welcomed me the same way she always does. "Did you have a safe drive?" To which I respond, "I always do." She knows I like consistency. I'm not a big fan of change. I made my way to my office. I should probably explain what I do. I'm a manager at a small IT company. We do a lot of things, but mostly we sell printers. Anyway, I got to my office and placed my bag near the window, in the same place I always do. And I sat in my chair. It was a nice chair. Comfortable. I mean, maybe not as comfortable as the one I have at home. That one is really nice. I bought it 2 years ago on a sale and has been one of the best things I ever... This isn't relevant. I'm just... never mind. As I switched my computer on, that's when the first strange thing happened. Not with the computer was fine. It was like a short gust of cold wind, which was strange in an office with a closed door and windows, but I thought nothing of it at the time. After all, I don't know much about wind or thermodynamics or anything like that. But it happened a few times during that day, and every time it did, I looked at my shadow, cast by the sunlight coming in through the window and made dim by the light in the office. And now that I think about it, I can't explain why I did that. I mean, if I knew then what I know now, things might have been different, but at the time, I brushed it off. It was an anomaly. I don't like anomalies. They don't fit into everyday life. I prefer when things are in order, like when I put my dishes away, and the cutlery always goes back to the same drawer. Knives, forks, and then spoons. It's how my parents did it. It's how I do it, and it's how I'll continue to do it. Although this, once again, doesn't relate to the story. I'm sorry. That wasn't the only thing that happened that day. I mean, this cold wind thing happened multiple times, but that's not what I mean. This other thing happened during the night. It was a few minutes past 2 a.m. This happens to me sometimes. I wake up, I go to the kitchen, I drink a glass of water, I lay back in bed, and I drift back into sleep as I think about miscellaneous things. That night, however, was different. As I awoke and opened my eyes, I glimpsed something darting out of my bedroom. Not quite a person. It wasn't like a solid mass. It was kind of like a shadow. But not really. I can't explain it. But I also didn't think much of it at the time. Just my head playing tricks on me in the dark, I thought. I'm a rational person, and most. It was 12 minutes past 2 a.m. I remember now because I like the number 12. It's not the same as a 10, but there is something structured about the number. 12 makes a dozen. Half a dozen is how many eggs I buy, which is also confusing because eggs are sold in packs of 6, 10, and 15. Usually, at least. And these are strange numbers to go by. But I'm off topic again. As I was saying, I didn't think much of it. I did, however, check my entire house just to be sure, and everything seemed fine. Until the weekend. Sunday, to be more precise. I remember because I don't really like Sundays. This is also when I noticed that something was wrong. It may have been my day off, but I dislike change, so my morning was much the same. I got up at 7 a.m. when my alarm went off. I slipped my slippers on, I went to the bathroom, and made myself a coffee. I got dressed and then I sat on the couch and watched some TV as I enjoyed my caffeinated beverage. I didn't have anything planned for that day, so I was just going to work on my project. I'm writing a book, you see. It's nowhere near finished, but it's coming along slowly. It's a love story. And I'm leaning towards a sad ending. Or I was, but I don't think I'll get a chance to write anymore. Before I could decide what I was going to do with my day, I saw something out of the corner of my eye. A movement. I looked down at what it was, and this will sound strange, I know, but it was my shadow. It was twitching. I think. It's hard to describe exactly what it looked like. It was kind of like a vibration, but slower, more deliberate, kind of like when a tree branch swaying in the wind, except you know it's not the wind, but someone pulling on the branch. You can tell that sort of thing if you look close enough, or at least I can. I've always known I was different from other people. I tend to notice things others don't, things that seem obvious to me, others just walk by. Like that one time when, stop! No, I mean, me. I'm sorry, I just... never mind. As my shadow made those subtle movements, I began to look around my room. Maybe it was just the source of light that was causing this. But no, the light was coming from my window, from the sun. Not to mention that all other shadows around the room were fine. Stationary, like a predator waiting for the right moment. That thought, at the time, made me feel vulnerable. But before I had time to panic, it stopped. I was left there just looking at a spot on my carpet. A dark spot. A dark spot that wasn't there before. It just looked like someone dropped a tomato sauce-covered meatball on the floor, then tried to wipe it away with a dry towel. I tried to clean it. I had this fabric cleaner I use regularly for carpets on my couch. It's very good at getting stains out. I cleaned both wine and blood stains with it and had no problem. I wonder, what do you think about? The stain did not come off the carpet. It was just there, mocking my attempts to remove it. I just left it and moved on with my day, occasionally glancing over at it. I was too distracted to do anything productive, so I just procrastinated for the rest of the day, cleaned some other parts of the house. When the day came to an end, I decided to double-check if all my doors and windows were locked. I don't really know why, but I did not feel safe that day. When I went to bed, I started to undress, and I noticed that there was a hole in my sock. I didn't feel the hole earlier, but now that I know it's there, it's painfully obvious that it's there. How did I miss it? I once again woke up that night. This time, it was at 3:01 a.m. I definitely remember that. This time, there was no figure, nothing dashing out of the room. I just woke up. I got up to grab a glass of water, and as I did, I glanced at my shadow on the wall, which was caused by the moonlight streaming in through my window. As I looked at it, I expected it to move again, but it didn't. I did, however, feel something brush against me. I tried looking around at what it could have been, but I came up blank. As I looked back at my shadow, I noticed some spots on it. No, not on it. They were on the wall. Same kind of spot as the one on the carpet. At this point, I'm at a loss. I mean, does your shadow bleed? Once my alarm woke me up, I did the same thing I always do. But when I went to leave, I realized my car keys were gone. Sorry. Let me rephrase that for you. My keys were in their usual spot, but my car key that is usually attached to them, it was not there. I spent a solid 10 minutes looking in every spot my keys could have ended up and could not find them. To you or to most people, this may not seem too strange, misplacing an item, but I don't lose things, ever. I gave up looking for my keys and decided to take the bus. I didn't have to wait long, thankfully. The bus went past many places I don't usually go by, like the coffee place I had my first date in, or the convenience store that I've only been to 3 times since I've moved. This reminds me, I need to buy some AAA batteries after work. The ones on my TV remote are getting low, which is causing the remote to... Wait, I did lose something once. I was 8 and I found a coin in the park. A strange coin I've never seen before. But when I got home, it wasn't in my pocket where I left it. I got to work on time. It was a little later than usual, but I wasn't late. I didn't see or feel any strange things for the most part. There was another one of those stains that formed on the floor in my office. But I didn't give it much attention, because this time, I heard things. It's hard to describe noise. Kind of like the hum of a microwave, but sharper. Does that make sense? Maybe it was closer to white noise, and it wasn't coming from anywhere in particular. I just heard it at the same volume wherever I went. You might imagine that would drive me mad, but it was very quiet. So quiet, in fact, that I didn't realize it until about halfway through my day. It was only then I realized that I'd been hearing it all day. It's kind of how you can cut yourself slightly and not notice it, but it only starts to hurt once you acknowledge it's there. This tends to happen with minor paper cuts. Sorry. I don't usually go off topic so much. I kept hearing this noise after I left work, and even after I got home. It wasn't getting any louder or quieter, it was just there. I spent some more time looking for my car keys with no luck. I decided I'll grab the key tomorrow and get a new one cut, and I went to bed. The next day is supposed to be Tuesday, and to be honest, I don't really like Tuesdays. This night was better. I did not wake up during the night, but there was another problem that I had no way of predicting. I awoke at 6:55 a.m. I know, because I looked at my watch. I had 5 more minutes before my alarm, so I decided just to stay in bed and enjoy my 5 minutes. But then, after several minutes, more than just 5, my alarm didn't go off. Which makes more sense when you take into consideration that my phone was gone. This part, however, didn't make much sense. I left it on the nightstand like I always do. There's never been a day that this wasn't the case. No. Wait. There was this one time when my phone broke and I had to wait a day until I don't think I'm alone in this room anymore. I was confused, to say the least, at my things, important things, just disappearing for no reason. There was nothing I could do, really, but move on with my day and try to figure something out later. This morning was a little less structured than I'd like it to be. Like, I didn't have my coffee, and there were all these spots that kept appearing over my shadow everywhere I went. They didn't seem harmful, but they still confused me to no end. I couldn't think straight. I eventually got to work and tried to take my mind off things by getting some work done. Do you ever think to yourself that it can't get any worse? Well, it seems like every time I think that, life just needs to prove me wrong. Which sounds illogical, I know. I pride myself on my rational thinking, unlike most of the people I encounter whose collective brain power couldn't turn a light bulb on. I wonder where the phrase train of thought originated from. Back to life tearing me a new one, or tearing it off in this case, I suppose. When I looked at my shadow after the sun came out from under the clouds, it was gone. My shadow just wasn't there. This sounds insane. All solid objects block light and therefore cast a shadow, and last I checked, I was a solid mass. But there I was, looking at an empty spot on the ground where my shadow used to be. And it was at this moment that the humming I heard the day before came back, or maybe just got louder. It still wasn't loud, but it was more noticeable now. I was confused and scared, and I didn't know what to do at this point. I decided to say I didn't feel well and go home. After I spoke to my boss, I headed towards the exit. It was then that I noticed the first one of them. He was standing on the other side of the hallway, facing me. He looked like a shadow, but like a three-dimensional shadow, like a dark, translucent person just standing there, not moving, just watching me from afar. There are many of them. In fact, they are outside my room right now. I can't see them, but I know they can see me, and they can see you as well. When I got outside my office, I looked up to find the sun. Then I looked on the ground to where my shadow should have been, and it wasn't there, just like in my office. I ran back to my car. I couldn't think of anything better to do than just go home. I didn't know if it was still safe in here, but I had no other choice. As I drove home, I started to see more of them, the shadowy figures. They weren't as obvious as the ones in the office. These I could only see out of the corner of my eye, but I knew they were there. Just like I know now that there is someone outside my house. I can hear them whisper. I got home, and I really needed to check something. This lack of a shadow thing, it scared me, but it didn't hurt or feel strange or anything like that. I felt normal. I switched the light on in the living room and picked up a book. And there it was, a rectangular shadow of the book with nothing around it, nothing holding it according to the shadow. I could cover the book with my body and it made no difference. Somehow, this felt comforting. Yeah, it was strange, but at least it was consistent. How would you act if your shadow vanished? I looked out the window to see if I could see any more of them. The shadows, I mean. There were only a few people walking about. Nothing out of the ordinary. Until I saw one. He wasn't standing and watching like the others were. He was just walking. I mean, like a regular person, minding his own business. He walked from one end of the street to past where I could no longer see him, or it. He didn't notice me. Maybe because he couldn't see that I had no shadow. I tried to sleep that night. I really did. I felt safe enough in my own home that I thought I could, but I spent all night trying, and what if our shadows are the reason we can't see them? What if our shadows protect us from them? We were never meant to see them, and I think our shadows are the reason we can't. What if they want to harm me? What if I escape the illusion? How do you know that you're not dreaming right now? Wednesday was more terrifying than I could have imagined. They called me. The figures, I mean, not on my mobile phone, that was still gone, but on my house phone. I thought it was my work calling, since I didn't show up to work that day. But when I answered the phone, all I heard was that noise I've been hearing. But this time, it was much louder. There was no voice on the other side, just a static-like noise. I unplugged my phone and tossed it into the corner. I half expected the noise to continue after I unplugged the phone, but it didn't. All I heard was silence. Even the quiet noise I've been hearing all this time stopped. I was standing in my room in pure silence, and it felt... I forgot to buy the batteries, the ones for the remote. As I was saying, they tried to contact me, but what did they want from me? I also kept seeing them walk by on the street outside. Most of them paid no attention to me, but a few turned their heads. I don't know if they saw me. I did my best to keep low, but I haven't been myself lately. I've been forgetting things and misplacing them. I found my car key as well. It was in the freezer for some reason. If you were to look, do you think they would look back? Once the sun started to set, I felt more uneasy than before. I decided that I need to try and wait them out. Maybe my shadow will grow back. I'm not sure if that's possible, but I don't have much of a choice. I refuse to leave my house knowing that they are out there, waiting for me. I took all of my food and some other useful things and locked myself in my bedroom. I hope they won't find me here. I just realized I should have brought a can opener with me, but it's too late now. I can hear them outside my front door trying to get... Do not let them. This brings us to today, Thursday. I don't know what to do. I think they're trying to get in. They've been banging against my front door for almost an hour now. I don't know if they can get in. What if I'm safe in here? What do they want from me? More importantly, what will they do to me once they get to me? The banging is louder now. I think they are trying to break through the door. If I whisper, will you whisper back? They are inside my house now. It seems that they are smarter than I thought. They are trying to convince me to open my bedroom door. I barricaded it, you see. I put all my furniture against my door so they can't get in. They're clever, you see. They think if they tell me that they are the police, that I will open the door. But I will not fall for their tricks. If they somehow do get in, I'll use this kitchen knife I brought here with me. I just haven't decided yet if I'll use it on them or on me. Does your shadow bleed?